A very good morning. You're watching News 9 with me, Deepak. And first up, Naxalism has been curbed in the state to a large extent, but there are still two groups that are operating in the state that need to be nabbed. What is the government speculating, and now take a look.
Many parts of the country are plagued by the Naxal menace. Our state is no different. There are two Naxal outfits operating in the state currently named RCP and CPI, and one of them is now consolidating on something. It might shock you if we tell you that one of the Naxal outfits in the state has decided to surrender to the police. But not without a twist. RCP, which is headed by Noor Gulfikar and Sirimane Nagaraj, are now speculating on surrendering to the police if they write off the case pending against their head, Noor Gulfikar. That is not the sole reason. Lack of finances has hindered a lot of operations of the Naxal outfit, forcing them to surrender. Noor Gulfikar was a software engineer and joined the Naxal group in 1995 and ever since has been heading the Naxal group. But he has declared that if the cases against him are written off, then he will surrender and has promised to work for social welfare. And well, Chief Minister Siddaramaiah is ready to hold a meeting today at 3 p.m. to discuss the same with the Home Minister KJ George, Secretary of Home Department and DG and IGP Lal Rukma Pachau. Along with them, higher officials from the police department will also be present at the meeting. The members of the Citizens Forum are going to act as peacemakers in the discussion, and the representatives of this forum are Gauri Lankesh, A.K. Subbaiah, Devanur Mahadev, Indodar Hunnapur, freedom fighter Dureswamy. Several Naxal groups were operational in the state, but because of ideological differences, the Naxal team divided into two, namely CPI and RCP. While CPI is ready to surrender, RCP refuses to budge, and their fate will be sealed in the meeting that will be held today at 3 p.m. Sukesh for News 9, Bengaluru.
Now, you heard of the name Imran Hashmi, the serial kisser. Now, in this report, we introduce you to another Hashmi. Now, he is a short trickster.
This man that you see on your screens is a hoodwinker. A master hoodwinker, we must say. He had succeeded a great extent in fooling no less a person than the DC of Raichur. But as they say, even the best of criminals leave behind a clue, and this trickster was no exception. Now he is behind bars, repenting his act. So what exactly did this fellow do? And what was his modus operandi, and how did his illegality come to light? Here are all the details. July 4th, 2014. Around 5 p.m. The DC of Raichur, Vijay Jyotsna, was busy with her work. Around 5 p.m. on July 4th, she received a fax which stated that an official by name Kabir Hashmi, Deputy Secretary of Ports Authority of India, Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs, Government of India, would be paying a visit to Nehru Yuva Kendra on the 7th of July and also sought accommodation for him and his deputy. DC Vijay Jyotsna immediately made arrangements for his reception. She in fact booked a spacious room for him and his deputy at a guest house on Mantralia Road. And on the day mentioned, that is on the 7th, Kabir Hashmi and his assistant Sarvesh arrived on the Karnataka Express. They were received with a lot of care and taken to the guest house in an official car. At 11 that day, Kabir Hashmi met the DC at her office. And the DC, who assumed Kabir Hashmi to be an IAS officer, welcomed him with a bouquet. Both had a long chat, and it was during this chat that Kabir Hashmi informed the DC that he was a 2007 batch IAS officer, to whom another IAS officer by name Rashmi was extremely close.
Deputy Secretary from Government of India ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಡ್ಯೂ ಕಟಿಸಿ ನಾವು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಬಟ್ ಈಗ ನಾವು ಮಾತನಾಡುವಾಗ ನನಗೆ ಕೆಲವು ಡೌಟ್ಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತಾ ಇವೆ ಜೆನ್ಯೂನ್ ಅನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅವರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರುವ ಮಾಹಿತಿ.
After the chat, Kabir Hashmi and his assistant were sent to Nehru Yuva Kendra in the official car. Well, as Kabir Hashmi was on an official visit, he even called up the DC and told her that the Kendra was in a very bad shape. At this juncture, the DC began to grow suspicious of Kabir Hashmi. In fact, she even called up the IAS officer Rashmi, who Kabir mentioned, and spoke to her about him. Rashmi on her part said that she did not know anyone by name Kabir Hashmi. Later, she even called up the Department of Youth Affairs and sought more information about him. And they too said that they were unaware of anyone by name Kabir. Immediately, she called up the police. They rushed to the guest house in which Kabir and his assistant were put up. On inquiring him, he confessed that he was indeed a phony officer. The police also recovered an amount of 15 lakh rupees and a lot of fake documents from them.
ಅವ್ರ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರು ಡೌಟ್ಸ್ ಇದು ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ಲಿ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ಗೆ ವೆರಿಫಿಕೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇದನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಮತ್ತು ಅವರು ತರವಾಗಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ವಿಚಾರ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಇವರು ಫೇಕ್ ಇರಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ಗೆ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ.
Not just this, Kabir has also confessed to the police that he has cheated a number of youths by promising them jobs and accepting huge sums as fees. The police have also arrested another person by name Zabedullah, who had been assisting Kabir in his acts. Sidhu Biradar for News9, Raichur.
Now, for long it has been perceived that tobacco use and passive smoking results in cancer. Now, shockingly, doctors notice more and more people falling a victim to cancer for no fault of theirs. Take a look.
A report published in The Lancet earlier this year stated that India, along with China and Russia, contributed to 52% of all cancer deaths in the world. The report stated that 6% of all deaths caused in India was because of cancer, making India the cancer capital of the world. Karnataka contributes significantly to this dubious distinction, and there is one worrying trend that experts have noticed. Doctors are increasingly getting patients who are teetotalers and non-tobacco users who are falling victim to cancer. Oncologists now believe that other factors like passive smoking, inhaling third-hand smoke, consumption of food with carcinogenic substances, and environment pollution are causing cancer. Tobacco causes 50% of cancers, and the rest are caused by other chemicals in the food and environment.
Patients who come to me often tell me, doctor, I didn't do anything wrong. I had a healthy diet. I used to eat healthy food. Then why me? Now this is a common question asked. So for this, I think what we need to largely understand is what are the main causes by which we get cancer. While one aspect of cancer causation is habits like tobacco, alcohol, drugs and other things, the other aspect of it is diet and environment, which has been much less talked about. Diet and environment play a significant role in causing cancers, either by increasing the carcinogenic load to the body, that means the load of chemicals, or by decreasing the immune system.
This is Mohan Raj, a retired armed forces personnel, and this is Nalini Satyanarayan, a homemaker. They lost their normal voice for no fault of theirs. Both of them are victims of passive smoking. Oncologists believe that now it's time that policymakers draw out specific plans to try and address all these concerns and create awareness about it.
The world is talking more about health in all policies. So if you have to achieve optimal health, you have to achieve it through all policies. Like water and irrigation is not handled by health, or for that matter emission control is largely handled by transport department. Smoking in public places can be handled largely by the municipal corporation or the police and the health department. So there are various departments that are involved in various of these causative factors.
So watch out for other factors in your environment along with passive smoking, for innocent people are getting trapped in the vicious grip of cancer. Harish Upadhyay, News9, Bengaluru.
Now, Narendra Modi's close aide and BJP General Secretary Amit Shah is expected to be announced as the next party president today. So Shah, who's credited for the BJP's emphatic performance in Uttar Pradesh during general elections, will succeed Rajnath Singh. The party won 71 of the 80 Lok Sabha seats in Uttar Pradesh, and the announcement is likely to be made today during the BJP's parliamentary board meeting, and the decision will be announced after a consensus emerged within the organization and the RSS on his name. Amit Shah, who's 49, will be one of the youngest BJP presidents. Now, the Narendra Modi confidant will also be one of the youngest presidents of the party. Now, Shah's elevation is expected to give Modi complete control over both the party and the government. And the PM had reportedly insisted that he should be allowed to function unhindered, and this was possible only if he would sway away both from the organization and the government. Of course, a big day for Amit Shah here. He will be announced probably today as the youngest president of the BJP. This, of course, comes after the emphatic win of BJP in the general elections 2014, and of course, the defeat, the sweep in Uttar Pradesh, winning 71 of the 80 Lok Sabha seats. Now, students who should be in class studying textbooks are out on the streets protesting against the school management. Here's a report.
Look at these students out on the street staging protests. They are protesting to secure their future that is at stake. And the party that is under question is their own school. The agitated students of Sri Shivalingeshwara High School are protesting against the school teachers who have bolted the doors of the school. The future of these students is in danger as the teachers and management of the school are having a tiff over a salary hike. For the past 21 years, the teachers here are being paid a mere 1,000 rupees as their monthly salary. This hasn't gone down well with the teachers and they've asked the school management for a hike.
ಈಗ ಅವರು ಚೇರ್ಮನ್ರು ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಚೇರ್ಮನ್ರನ್ನ ಕೇಳಿದ್ವಿ ಏನಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ವಿ ಮತ್ತು ಹಿಂಗ್ರಿ ಈ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಒಳಗೆ ನಾವು ಶಾಲೆ ನಡೆಸೋಕ್ಕಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ನಮಗೆ ಬಂದು ಪ್ರಪೋಸ್